it's spinning, and we're live. What's happening, Kiwi?
What's happening? I'm here. I'm back.
You are, man.
Just a week. Just a week.
You're like a hero. He's got like his leg is in his whole bionic like.
I do have a big brace on.
It's crazy, yeah. But he's here to tell the story. All right. All these glasses.
Chavo, hey buddy.
I picked the worst glasses.
John M, what you missed? Not a thing. We only just got here.
Yeah, we've been slacking off. Slacking off. That's what we're doing. Goofing off. Okay. I still can't
Jeff
see
Hutchins,
these glasses.
good to see you, man. Mike Ian, Bill Mickey McKeiska. Yeah.
There's a little delay. Look at this. Watch.
How's the suspension, Kiwi? Yeah. Yeah, the left side's good. The right side's a little iffy. Got new legs. No, just yeah, one trying to regenerate a little bit, but not new.
Kiwi got new legs. Not just knees, right? You got.
No, I may be getting a new knee. We'll have to wait and see. With 6 weeks' time, we'll find out whether I need a new knee or not. But that's all right. Not a big deal, really. Let's say that. Yeah, but what are you going to do?
Okay. Rocky Mars, when does the road trip begin? We're going to leave here tomorrow night around midnight-ish and get to Detroit around 7-ish in the morning, Saturday morning. And, so we got a full day there. Yes.
Danny boy, your knees bother you going up the stairs? Yeah, me and me both, brother.
Well, he's limping around in a bad knee. My back is wiped out.
Yeah.
I was okay.
Is that Shagger's back?
Shagger's, I don't even know.
You don't know what Shagger's back is?
I'm afraid to ask.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't.
Yeah, I don't want to know. Whatever it is, that's not
Aussie friends will know exactly what I'm talking about.
No, you know what happened? So Kathy's working on the Charger, the interior of the Charger, right? So she's put on rugs and stuff like that, right? Carpets. And I wanted to put a coat of paint on the trunk floor because the trunk floor was all like rusty and
right.
There's a couple of small holes in it, but nothing that I'm going to go nuts about. You know what I mean? So I said, well, let me paint this, and that's what did it. Being in that one position, bent over, painting inside the trunk.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so I haven't been able to stand up since. Seth Doss, hey Uncle Tony, looking for a carburetor or at least the high idle cam and linkage for a 1964 Dodge Dart Carter BBS. Any suggestions? Jeez, I need a fast idle cam.
And linkage.
And linkage. I don't know. I gotta say, I may have one. Keith Mason from Darwin, Australia.
Darwin, yeah, no Darwin. I haven't been to Darwin, but I know.
I saw Zero just put a link to your channel.
Oh, did he? Oh, good man. Yeah. Thank you, Zero.
Kiwis, cripples, and contusions.
Contusions, yeah. Kiwi, is it going to be a total knee? And TKA, is that total knee? It might be, yeah. If it doesn't heal, then yeah, I'm looking at what they call a fully constricted knee replacement, which is basically a hinge, and there'll be no ligaments or tendons or any of that fancy stuff left in there. It'll be just a bare bones cupboard door hinge kind of thing. I think it's a little more expensive than that, but hey.
You can't fabricate a cool knee for yourself?
Well, I probably could, but it might go rusty, and then I don't really want to do that. Put it inside me. Bruce Jones, love the fastback Cougar. Yeah, we're getting back to that. I've just been on kind of light duties for a couple of weeks, so I know the owner's getting anxious to see more progress, but a lot of the work I'm doing on that right now is down low, and I can't get down low at the moment. So yeah. John M. Rugby days are over. Yeah, they've been over for a little while.
Jonathan Smith, huge fan. You're not a fan, you're a viewer, right? One more time, come on, Tony, give me a shout. Jonathan Smith. Say hi to Jonathan Smith.
Hey, Jonathan Smith.
John, you are sub to Kiwis, of course.
Huge fan one time. Come on, Tony. Give me a shout. Yep, there you go.
J. Russell Finch, Kiwi, you got hit by a car. Need that story. He ran himself over. Even I have not run myself. Or have I? I have to think about that. I don't think I've ever run myself over.
You know, I did successfully, well, kind of run myself down. I didn't kind of go under the car, but
That's a technical.
yeah, it was an old Mustang, and trying to get it to run, as happens occasionally with Fords, they won't run, only occasionally. But yeah, it decided to start and had a very, very worn out shifter, you know, automatic transmission shifter, rattled itself into drive and took off and pinned me against the wall on the back of the shop, and you know, with some shelving in the way, which kind of bent me through the shelving, bent my knees backwards, and yeah, that's the very short version of it. There was a bit of yelling and a bit of distress, and yeah, 2 very badly torn up knees. But you know, I'm back, and that happened 4 years ago, and this is really the first time I've had any trouble from it since. So can't complain, really.
The closest I ever came, I had a 71 446 pack 4-speed Cuda, and the starter took a shit on it. This is eons ago, and I had some substantial back tires on the thing. So the street was a little bit downhill, and I said, "Sorry, well, I'll just pop start this thing." So I get out of the car and I'm pushing, you know, in the doorway. I'm pushing, and I'm starting to get up to speed, and my foot went under the tire and rolled my foot over back. Yeah. And I became a stop, a chock. I became a wheel chock. That's as closest I've ever.
Ouch.
Yeah, that was a cast for a little while.
Yep. Kiwi, be careful with the knee replacement. Oh, where's it gone?
Jay Leno caught fire where I have caught fire so many times working on it.
No, I haven't. That's one thing I haven't done.
I should look like Freddy Krueger, but I have that good Italian skin that just keeps growing back. So does Jay Leno, for that matter. He was a mess, but look, you don't see anything on him. I don't think there's any makeup.
Jay Russell, yeah, hopefully you charge every Mustang owner a surcharge. Yeah, I'm not sure I'd get away with that, but yeah, it would be lucrative with the amount of the Mustangs we get through.
Scott Ormandy, hey Tony, could you please explain why do unibodies need flex? Why does a tree have to bend in the wind? Right? Same exact concept. Why does, you know, if a tree doesn't bend to the wind, it snaps. And it's the same thing with a unibody. If it doesn't yield a little bit, it'll work hard and crack. So that's why the flex is spread over that large area like that.
And full chassis cars flex too.
Like, everything flexes.
If you take a body off and you just have a bare chassis there, they flex a lot. You know, so you know they are still strong, but they'll twist and they'll flex. Jonathan, what happened to the Barracuda? The Barracuda is sitting outside in the car park, just quietly rusting, and waiting for time to get to it. It's yeah, I've never been so busy. It is just crazy how busy it is, and just trying to get through customers' work. And I'm booking very little work at the moment because we're just in full-time catch-up mode.
The Highlander. Tony, I need an opinion. Mickey Thompson 28 by 8.5 bias slicks with tubes on 10-inch aluminum wheels. Okay. Should I use screws, or can I get by with high-tack glue? The truck is a 4-speed and weight is around 2,300 pounds. It's a light truck, but no, yeah, with tubes, and especially you got a 10-inch rim and an 8.5-inch wide tire. The sidewall is even just on its own doesn't really want to go out there, right? So yeah, I would screw. I wouldn't risk it with glue. I would throw some soft tappers in there and call it a day. Uh-oh.
Oh, we're frozen?
Yes.
Yep, there we go.
Danny Rocco, what happened to the Bondo Cougar?
Yeah, the guy has decided not to sell it. He's going to use it for a couple of years and get some. He uses it as part of. He's got a photography company, so he uses it for photo shoots and stage settings type of thing. And so he's going to take the tax benefits of having that on the books, and then what he tells me is he's going to sell it with full disclosure. Once he's got some tax write-off benefits from it, to kind of minimise his losses, because at the end of the day, he's staring down the barrel of a fairly hefty loss. So he's trying to mitigate that as best he can, and then he's going to sell it, yeah, with full disclosure. So
It's one of you guys.
It's going to be a fairly well-known cougar with the number of views that video's had. So, but a couple of years, people's memories fade. I just hope somebody doesn't get caught with it again.
It's pretty famous. Anybody who's in the market for a cougar, you know that they're going to search cougar.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's going to come up because the video got a lot of views.
Yeah.
The truth, Tony, when are we going to get a whole shot with the Charger? You're not. That car, so that car for years, all I ever did was take that thing out, beat the living snot out of it, and then put it away, right? Because it was a roachy car, and so all I did was beat that thing mercilessly. And if you want to watch that, if you want to see how I used to treat that car, go back and watch a video called How to Do a Bitchin' Burnout. And it's like 10 minutes of just me slamming the hell out of that car, right? But now it has a different purpose. Now it's going to be a road trippy type of car. That's why I cleaned it up. That's why I did the body on it, and now we got it looking nice and everything, right? So now it's going to be a road trippy type of car, and I don't like to beat up on my road trippy type of cars. It survived all of the punishment. You know what I'm saying? It made its role of punishment. So now no more punishment. Now it gets treated like a princess.
Tony, what do you know about Chryslers?
I read something about them someplace. Yeah.
Now, what did I say? Tony or Kiwi, have you heard of a 383 Ford engine they made in the late 50s?
385.
Is that what it was?
Yeah. What? Wait.
Hang on. He's having a stroke.
No, 385 is a series.
Yeah.
Oh God. It's half ringing a bell. Maybe it'll come to me.
Now, was that a Ford engine, or was it like a Mercury or a Lincoln engine? Like I know, I haven't heard of the 383, but I know some of the Lincolns and Mercuries had some very odd-sized engines. Like 317s, and they had some weird engines. So there's possibly. Yeah, I'd be tending to think it was maybe a Mercury or a Lincoln, which is a Ford, strictly speaking.
Moco.
Yeah.
For Moco.
Yeah.
385 series, it was a 370. 352.
383 was the first Mel engine. Okay.
Okay, Bear Rose, 383 was the first Mel. Okay. See, there's so many things about those like early Fords, and especially you get into the Mel engines.
Yeah.
And it's like there's so much unknown territory.
Yeah, Danny Boyd there. 385 is the 429, 460, and 370 truck engine. Yep.
Abel D. Tony, you're part of the National Tourism Propaganda. When is the National Tourist pamphlet with the epic Charger Parthenon coming up? Isn't that a great picture?
It is a good picture. It is a good picture. Yeah.
Wannabe, quench. How do you set quench when building an engine? Okay, so the wisdom on quenches is this, all right? If the pistons are not hitting the cylinder heads, you're leaving power on the table, okay? So ideally, the perfect amount of quench is 0, right? Absolute 0. You want the piston to actually make contact with the cylinder head. That's not really effective. It's effective, but it's not the way you want to go. You want to leave at least 15 thousandths or so cold to accommodate for expansion, to accommodate for piston rocking and stuff like that. So the tight side of quench should be around 15 thousandths of an inch.
Raining Slant 6, Chance of Cannonballs. Thanks, man. I'm glad to be back. Now, somebody said, have either of you ever worked on a Holden? Well, I have.
Yes.
I have. Have you? No.
Well, no, but I've worked on things that would probably be called Holdens in other parts of.
Maybe Pontiac, G8.
Yeah.
Pontiac, GDO, late model, like 2000, mid 2000s.
Was the front wheel drive Monte Carlos, the SS's, was that a Holden?
No.
That wasn't. Okay, then I probably haven't.
There you go.
Okay.
So there you go. Yes, one of us has worked on a Holden. A few of them, right back into the 50s models. Yeah.
But you've never rebuilt a torque flight.
I have never rebuilt a torque flight.
So there you go.
So we're even. Okay. Charlotte Quillen. Tony, after your latest option video, ask Kiwi if he ever saw the landing light option.
Yeah.
I don't know that one. Landing light option? Like on a plane?
Well, I don't know what he calls it, a landing light. It was super light. And it was available on the, it was either 69 or 70 Polara. And it was one light bulb in the grill. A halogen bulb. It was the first use of a halogen bulb in...
Really?
Yeah. Was it 69 or 70? I think it was 69 because I'm picturing the grill. So yeah, it was this super light. And you flick this thing on, and a little toggle switch on there, and you flick it on, and it just, you know, compared to the old seal beams.
Yeah, the candle, one candle power.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, it was astounding in the day, but today it's just kind of like an average light.
Mitten-made muscle. He's talking about the quench again. His buddy broke a forged piston from the quench being too tight. Yeah, well, you might be able to hit the cylinder head at high RPM, but you can't hit it too hard.
Also took out a sleeve and bent a rod. No, bro, there was more going on than just the quench being too tight. Because I have literally built engines where when the thing is cold, you can hear the pistons hitting the cylinder heads. I've done it. You know what I mean? And
when they heat up, they clear?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, because the block expands, the head expands. The piston grows, but not up.
Huh.
It doesn't raise its compression height.
Okay.
But the block and the heads do. And I've had them where as you'll crank it, it won't make any noise cranking it. As soon as it lights, you'll hear lightly go, and as the motor warms up, it kind of goes away. So I have built them that tight. I don't recommend it. I I wouldn't do it for somebody else. I did it for myself just to see what was going to happen. And that was after a conversation I had with, I think it might have been Jerry Stein. It might have been Jerry Stein or Bill Jenkins, because those are two people I talked way back in the day. And we were talking about quench. I was learning about quench. But that was the wisdom. If the pistons aren't hitting the cylinder heads, you're leaving power on the table. That's the exact wisdom.
Hey Kiwi, what about Valiant Charger? Well, I haven't. My dad owned one, or he bought one brand new. Yeah, wish that I still had that. They're worth a lot of money now. But yes, I've worked on them. Yeah, pretty cool, the Valiant Chargers.
Go scroll back down again. Somebody's asking about.
What are you looking for, Hoss?
Somebody's asking about a Jeep.
Oh, Jeep. Well, you know, if you built a 3.8 Jeep motor, there you go.
Yeah. Okay. So the 3.8 Jeep motor is the Buick V6, and back in the 80s, when I was like, regular mechanic and all of that, tons of them. Those motors were notorious for weak bottom ends. Up until they changed the crank, which might have been like 84. There's the cutoff line between even fire and odd fire, it could have been 83, 84, I'm not sure. But those 3.8 Buicks, man, they were notorious for bottom end issues. And yeah, I rebuilt dozens of them.
Jeff Hutchins is working on a Holden like kissing his sister. Well, one, I have no idea.
But I thought you said you've worked on Holdens.
I've worked on Holdens, but I haven't done the latter. No.
You never made out with your sister?
No.
Really?
No.
That's odd.
Oh dear, I'm not even going there. Your turn.
All right.
What do we got?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Tavo, yes, the V6, the Buick V6 was the mainstay in the Holden Commodores for quite a long time. I personally didn't realize it at the time, but it was a few years ago now.
Okay. End of time. Does a dual snorkel make much of a difference over a single? I mean, it depends on the area of the single snorkel. I mean, if you have a giant single snorkel, so I guess it all depends. They size the snorkels sound standards. That's why they make them relatively small and kind of long because it muffles. I know you and me want to hear the intake, but Mrs. Grandma driving on the street doesn't want to hear it. So they make them they make the single snorkels in such a way to silence the air intake. So I guess the double snorkel just makes up for that.
Kiwi, what did you think of Tony's representation of you last week? Well, my wife said that his
It was accurate.
Representation was cuter than me, so which I'm still not talking.
That wasn't CGI either. That was the real thing.
That was a real fake. Yes. Yeah. I don't think it had the personality that I have, but then it didn't have any personality. So
after the first few minutes, I really couldn't tell the difference. I mean, that's just me. Terry, do you suck your new lifter? No, I do not. And if you bother to read, if you buy a new set of lifters and you bother to read the paper that comes with them, cam and lifters, the cam manufacturers tell you do not soak the lifters. Do not soak the lifters. The lifters are intended to be put in there empty. And the reason for that is because if you fill them ahead of time, there's no guarantee that when you tighten down the rockers, you're going to make your adjustments, you're going to push the plunger down into the oil. And so you'll go to start the engine and it'll want to backfire to the intake. A lifter is designed so that when it's completely empty and there is no oil in it whatsoever, that it will open the valve enough to get the engine started. And then once the engine starts, then it'll fill with oil. But like I said, don't take my word for it. My word is meaningless. Read the paperwork that comes with any cam and lifter setup, and it will tell you specifically, do not soak the lifters.
Jay Russell, its head was accurately reproduced. Is that about a classic car? Do you daily drive a classic car, or do you drive a newer car on the regular?
Well,
you always driving a classic, aren't you? Well, if you call a rattly old Jeep classic, I guess.
It's a 98.
It's an 88.
Yeah, it's just 25 years old. That's a classic.
That's a classic. But certainly rattles like a classic.
That's one of my daily drivers there. In white car has been off the road for a couple of years, but that was a daily driver for like 10 years. The newest thing I drive is my XJ. I have two 98 XJs.
So yeah, I drive, my daily driver is my Dodge Ram truck. I got a 2008 Dodge Ram 2500, which I'm looking at probably getting rid of and getting something older, just an old truck to drive around. So yeah.
And the Charger is going to be not a daily, but the Charger is going to be worked into the fleet like his normal rotation. Okay. Uh-oh. Terry, you're very welcome, Terry.
Smell of rubber in the ticket.
Tavo, my newest daily is a 23-year-old in Neon. Oh, those are great cars, man. Those Neons were fun. Until you got to do a heater core on one. Have you ever done a heater core on a Neon?
I have not worked. I've not laid a hand on a Neon.
The Neon was the first nightmare, like real nightmare heater core job I've ever done.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I don't know if they changed the design as I went on, but I did. I guess it was a 94, 95. Because I was still in New York. Did a heater core on it. And in order to do the heater core, you have to take all of the wiring free from the engine under the hood.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have to pull the harness out from the dashboard, from the interior side of the car, to get everything to come out. So you've got to literally go under the hood and undo all of the wiring under the hood to get the...
Good grief.
Yeah.
Great design. Great design. Well, how often do you have to replace it?
That car was new. It was only like maybe 4 or 5 years old.
Oh, wow. Mike Brunello, daily is a 71 D100 with a Ford 302 in it.
Wow.
And a Mopar. I bet that rocks a few people's boats.
Yeah. Like, you had to work hard to be different on that one.
Got run over by a beetle. Someone said they got run over by a beetle. I missed that one. It's scrolled up on me. Robin Sage.
Well, thank you, Robin.
Thanks for the super chat. He said Detroit. I assume you were coming to Woodward Saturday. What are you bringing?
The Charger. We're bringing the Charger up there. That's why I hustled to get it done, because I was waiting for Ron. Ron's busy, so he's got a lot of stuff going on. I needed to get the car painted. It was done, so that's why I said, finally, I said, fine. I ran to Harbor Freight and I bought bought myself an $18 spray gun. Right? These things work. They work. Okay. And I was like, the hell with it, man. And it didn't come out bad. It didn't come out bad.
Oh, there we go. Michael Phillips got run over by a beetle. I rolled from rear to front bumper. Ouch. At least it's light, so, and big diameter wheels, so hopefully it didn't hurt you too much. Mickey McFarts. What are good projects to look at as far as cost effectiveness, availability, and some level of coolness? Ooh, that's a tricky one.
You know, I would say anything. So a lot of G bodies are out of sight. Like you can't touch a two-door Malibu, or. But I think Cutlasses. There's still a lot of G body Cutlasses out there, with Buicks, Regals, and stuff. I would say an off G body is probably the most cost-effective thing you can build, because parts are still dirt cheap. They're everywhere. They're available. The cars are like bulletproof, and they're out there. You're going to pay a lot of money if you want something like like a two-door Malibu, right? Big money for those cars now. Fox Mustangs are another one too. They're hit and miss as far as price goes, but the availability to parts, there's a lot of good cars out there that you can get involved in relatively cheap. What the hell is that, Kiwi?
That's my text message.
Oh.
Anyway, but yeah, the trick part of that question is where you mentioned some level of coolness, and some people's idea of cool is very different from other people's idea of cool. So, I mean, we've had a bunch of trucks through the shop just in the last month. Now, if you want a 67 to 72 Chevy truck, you're going to pay well for a decent one. But if you go 67 to 72 Ford truck, they're like a third of the price.
Or you can
so if you like a truck, that late 60s Ford truck, early 70s is pretty good buying at the moment.
You know where you can get really good deals on square body Chevys or GMs? GMCs.
Right.
GMCs. It's the same truck, different trim.
Yeah.
Right? But they don't bring the money, because the mindless people who are just looking for the square body, they're like, oh, that's not a Chevy.
Yeah.
So you can still get good square. I passed on one for $100. Whew. I should have grabbed it. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. But yeah, GMCs are your easy ticket into square, General Motors square bodies.
Yeah. I mean, they're just the same truck with a different grille usually. Right. What do we got here?
Floyd's Garage. GMC is more expensive. Yeah, they were more expensive when they were new, but now they're cheaper.
It's like Pontiac. Like you look at a '67 Firebird, Pontiac Firebird, which is a Camaro just with different trim. Okay, sometimes they've got different engines, stuff like that, but I mean, they're half the price of a Camaro, and it's essentially the same car. And Pontiac was higher up the totem pole than Chevrolet. Chevrolet was base model, and then it was Pontiac. What was it? Chevrolet, Pontiac, Oldsmobile, Buick, Cadillac. Yeah.
Clayton's Toolbox continued. Guys say the Ford C6 transmission is a power sponge compared to other transmissions. The only real info on it is a magazine article from long ago. Do you have any experience with one? I've never been inside of a C6. I've swapped them in and out of cars, just regular mechanic stuff. But I can tell you this. I mean, I'm not a Ford guy, but Ford guys tend to avoid them. So what's the reason? Why do Ford guys avoid the biggest, baddest transmission that they had?
Well, they do suck power. That's part of the reason. What's that?
They make a lot of heat.
Yeah, but they were. Yeah, they're not a competition transmission by any means. Like you can beef up a C4, and make it do most of what a C6 will do. But I mean, who really wants a C4 or a C6 anymore? Everybody wants, you know, the 4-speed autos, lock-up torque converters, and all that kind of thing.
Well, it depends on the use, really.
Well, it does depend on the use, but the C6, I mean, it's like a 9-inch too. Like a 9-inch, they suck more power, but ultimately they are stronger, and they certainly have the ability to be built into something that's way stronger. So yeah, 70 the Highlander, 70 horsepower to work a C6 and 40 horsepower to work a C4. That's because everything's smaller in the C4, but it's like a turbo 350 and a turbo 400. But like if you're going to drag race something that's not too heavy, you go with a 350.
The thing about the C6 though, and like what I remember very distinctly about my days as regular mechanic when those cars were still around, right, was C6s were always burnt. They always ran hot. The fluid was always burnt.
Right.
There has to be an element inside the transmission that causes slip on a regular for it to have that kind of heat.
Right.
But I don't know. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, no, I do. I do know what you're talking about. Yeah, and you're right. But what exactly caused it, I don't know.
I don't know either.
An automatic transmission guru by any means.
There has to be a transmission guy on here that can explain why C6s were always cooked.
Hot Rod Monza.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had a 67 Fairlane with a 428 in it, C6. Couldn't put it at the C6 in neutral at the end of a run. It will blow the front pump out.
You couldn't neutral drop them either.
Oh, really?
Yeah, did you ever?
You can't neutral drop a torque flight either, though, can you?
Oh, sure you can.
I've seen what happens.
Yeah, occasionally you're blowing up, and I mean, it's not a big deal. People make it, I blew it up. It's not a big deal. But the C6s, and I think the C4s too, if you put them in neutral, right, or you put them in park, you put them in neutral, you rev it up, and you go to put it in gear, it won't go into gear until the RPM comes down.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was the thing.
Like some preventative thing in there. Oh, really? Yeah. Huh. Ask Nick's Transmissions on YouTube. There you go.
Let's see. Brygond, you're probably tired of this, but many of us would love to see you install and review a carb checker. What the fuck is? What's a carb checker?
It's like a typo.
Yeah, it's like a typo. Brygond, try that one more time, my brother.
Tavo, the Holden Trimatic I remember the old Trimatics had the same over rev feature. Huh. That was a good idea. Stops idiots doing neutral drops on.
Haas Anderson, UTG. I got a Plymouth Duster race car 360 with W2 heads. I got only 30 psi oil pressure. Is that okay? Is that hot idle oil pressure? It's plenty. It's plenty.
If it's in there, when the RPMs are up, you really should shoot for about 10 pounds oil pressure per 1,000 RPM that you're running the engine to. Is a fairly good formula. Carb cheater. So the carb cheater is this thing that Thunderhead 289 came up with. So here's my stance on this. I said this before. I'll say it again. Okay. I think it's a good idea. I think it's innovative. You familiar with it? No, not at all. I've heard the name. I've heard it mentioned, but I don't know what it's meant to do.
It's a controlled metered vacuum leak.
Oh, okay.
Basically, it allows the carburetor to become a self-tuning.
How does it make it self-tuning?
It's done through your phone.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's got a Bluetooth link to your phone, right? And it basically makes fine adjustments on the fly by controlling this vacuum leak.
Huh.
Okay, it's a good idea. I like the idea. I like the concept. I'm not going to do a review on it for two reasons. The first is I wouldn't use it myself because I don't like things that involve software on my cars. It's that simple. I like completely analog things. I'll give up to 2 miles per gallon. And then the other reason is that I have a personal dislike for the guy Luke who put it together. He's a talented guy. He makes good videos, good YouTuber. I'm not saying anything about his knowledge, his talent, or anything like that, but we've had issues, and I personally do not like him as a person, so I'm not going to get involved in anything that he has going on. Let's see.
Ideas on a 69 model 273 into a 408 stroker. Can it be done?
No.
No, I don't think so.
No, the bore is too small.
Yeah.
The bore is too small. I think the most you can, I mean, if you throw a 4-inch crank into a 273, I don't have my phone to do the calculation, but just go bore times stroke times 6.2832, and it'll give you the maximum cubic inch you're going to get with the 273 bore and a 4-inch stroke crank. I'm going to say it's probably right around 350 and change cubic inches.
Turbo 360 to 408 is common in Oz. It's pretty common here too, man. Yeah, that 408 just seems to be quite a happy combination of, you know, bore and stroke and rod length. Yeah, just a happy engine. Tony, can a 273 be fast? Well, it's relative fast compared to what? To another 273, you know, ish 289 size, you know. Yeah, I'm sure it can.
You know, it doesn't take it. It's a small engine. I know it sounds crazy, okay, but it's more of a torque engine than anything else. And you say, well, I was a 273, a torque engine. It's the geometry of the thing. It's a great driver. It's a great, like, you know, like cruiser type of engine. But there's so many better choices, including the 318, where at least you could take advantage of those cylinder heads. Because the combustion chamber and the cylinder heads on a small block Mopar are exceptionally good, and you just don't get to take advantage of that with the small bore of the 273.
CB big block Ford. Does it need to pull the engine and or trans to get the oil pan off? Depends what sort of vehicle the big block Ford's in.
Yeah.
Really, it's not really a yes or no answer. It's really about what car it's in. So, come back and tell us what sort of vehicle it's in. We'll probably give you a semi-intelligent answer. Okay, how much horsepower do you gain from a set of headers on a small block shed?
17.
Yeah, prove him wrong.
I did all the calculations.
Just like that?
Boom.
Boom, boom, boom.
Yes.
That's why you don't.
That's why I make the big bucks on YouTube.
That's why you don't need a computer to work it out.
No, it's all there.
Right.
There's no set number. There's no set number. You could guarantee, providing you've got the carburation to back it up. And when I say carburation, I mean that it's jetted in such a way that, because you can put headers on an engine and lose performance if it's too lean.
Yeah.
You know, if you're starting out with a lean combination to begin with, and you go from, let's say, log manifolds to headers, you make it even leaner, and then you've got to give it more foot, and your gas mileage will hurt. But properly jetted, properly tuned, with a set of headers on an otherwise stock engine, you're probably going to see around a 15% or thereabouts, right? Is that about fair?
That's around. I mean, some of the numbers are a little inflated on the different manufacturers' claims.
Yeah.
Because it's very easy to trick a dyno. You can put out dyno sheets that show how much you gained, and you take it somewhere else and get the same gains.
But that's on a stock engine. Okay.
Yeah.
So now let's just say you've got an engine that's got big carburetor, big intake manifold, big cam, big cylinder heads, and you're running it through exhaust manifolds. Now you swap over to headers, you could see a 30% gain. You know, it just depends
if you uncork it, unplug it. Yeah,
exactly.
And then it's all combinations. Really, what it's about is combinations.
It's all combinations.
You know, if you're going to put a nice, good set of headers, because not all headers are made equal, you can't just say headers give you X amount.
Right.
Because it's are they shorty headers? Are they medium length? Are they long tube headers?
Right. Are they tuned? Are they tri-wire?
Yeah.
What's
yeah. But you will get a gain. You'll typically feel it. You'll typically feel it through the seat of your pants. The improvement.
Yes.
And that's, if you can actually feel it, the car genuinely feels faster, then you've got a decent gain. Do you rejet for open headers? How much, roughly speaking? Oof.
Again, see, it depends on the size of the engine and
size of the carburetor. Lots of things.
Let's see. Okay, raining slant six with a chance of cannonballs. Did you see that the turbo 225 slant six Wiseco forged slugs with thermal barrier? Blah 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 blah. Yes, yes, I saw that. It's on Power Nation. So your friends over there at Power Nation,
my buddies at Power Nation,
your buddies at Power Nation, they did the very first thing I've ever seen. Okay, that I watched the video the whole way through.
Right.
And I said, "Wow, that was actually really good."
Cool.
I couldn't believe it because most of the time I'll get through the first like 3 or 4 minutes of one of their videos, and I'm almost enraged. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know.
Yeah.
But this one they recently did this turbocharged slant six. They made like 225 horsepower normally aspirated, which is stuff for a slant six, and then they I forget how much boost they put through it, but they got over 400 horsepower out of it. And it was a nice build. It was an exotic build. You know, they spent a lot of money. There's a lot of exotic parts inside of there. But I got to hand it to them. It was a good video. It was a good build. It was interesting. It kept my interest the whole way through. And it kills me to say anything nice about the Power Nation guys. But they really did a good video. They built a nice engine and did a good.
Well, Pat's good. Pat on there is good. He's a clever guy. Nice guy too.
You have a thing going with him, don't you?
No, not Pat. No, I don't know him particularly well, but you know, we know each other.
No midnight rendezvous.
No.
Okay.
And a good buddy of mine from that show is Tommy Boches, and he's a great dude. Pat, I just haven't had the opportunity to get to know as well as Tommy, but he's very knowledgeable. And he's a good dude, and the young guy he's got on the show with him now, he's learning fast. Like watch out for him as the years tick by. He's going to be around for a little while. They're pretty knowledgeable.
I'm not saying that they're not knowledgeable, but the way they go about things on that show, their whole thing there.
The way they put the shows together and stuff.
Right.
But I mean, that's not controlled in any way by the presenters on the show.
Mm-hmm. I'm not saying anything
what
about
they do and how they do it is very much controlled by corporate, and the suitable sponsors for what they put in parts that are sponsored. So if someone comes in and says, "Here's a set of pistons, and we want you to use them on this build," and the money's right, and that's what they use, like that. But that's and it's a lot more polished product at the end, the videos that they make or the shows that they make.
I pride myself on professionalism.
Well, it's just the grassroots down to earth thing is more what we're doing, and there's people appreciate that too. Some people probably look at what me and you do and go, "Oh, I can't handle that." Like the lighting's not right, or there's a bad shadow somewhere, or someone's smoking, like and drifting across the other guy.
I'm so sorry. I'm such a thoughtless boob.
I'm just winding you up, mate. So it's just a very different thing, and it appeals to different segments of the population. So we all just kind of get along.
Hot Rod Monza, 318 valve burners. That is a weak link on them. They burn exhaust valves. Guy obviously knows his 318s. Don't know why, and it was only for certain years. And I forget what those years were, but it was very common back in the day when they were all over the place. That was very common. It burnt exhaust valves on a 318.
Yeah. So Rick S. Hi, Uncle Tony. On a 69 slant 6 with small V8 4-speed car, completely stock bias tires, can the stock Auburn 3-finger pressure plate explode at high RPM? He wants to give it hell, but is worried about fearing an explosion. No, I wouldn't think so. Like if you're using super high RPM, but that's not the engine you're describing, completely stock. Well, there's valve train, there's other things that are going to stop them revving high enough to disintegrate the clutch. I mean, slipping the hell out of it, and putting massive amounts of heat through it can explode it. So you do have to make sure that the clutch. Like I've seen it happen where guys launch and they think they're spinning the wheels,
right? And it's the clutch,
and they're not, and it's the clutch, and that leads to a big kaboom because the heat generated is phenomenal.
I just saw a video yesterday or the day before. It was an import race, and it was a quick video. Right? It was just so I couldn't tell you what kind of car it was, only that it was an import race.
I think I might have seen it.
Did you see
coming this way across Cameron, and it just Chernobyl, didn't it?
Yeah.
Just Chernobyl.
Yeah.
And that was the clutch. Like you actually, if you watched it like half a dozen times, you could see the front wheels stop spinning.
Yeah.
And the engine's just singing.
Yeah.
Like at full RPM, and like I don't know, less than a second after that, it just went kaboom.
That's got to be hairy. That's got because you think about it, all right? So if it's a front wheel drive car, or a rear wheel drive car, I should say, your clutch is past your feet.
Yeah.
So if the clutch explodes, it's gonna be in the firewall area. It's the worst you're gonna happen is it's gonna hit your foot.
Yeah.
Okay, it's gonna maybe you damage your foot. On a front wheel drive car, that shit is this way. And it's like this. It's spinning. So when that thing comes loose,
yeah, it's like a saw blade out of control.
It's coming right for your torso.
Yeah, so I understand what you're concerned about, but if that's a stock engine,
I wouldn't worry about it.
And you don't slip the living heck, and that would be my one reservation is like just make sure that clutch is not slipping when you think it's skidding. You got to be able to feel if the back's moving around a bit, if your back wheels are spinning.
Yep.
But yeah.
And Zero just put the link up to your channel again, because Zero is like that. Zero
he's a good man. He's
the best man.
Yeah. Tava, you reminded me, Kiwi. Took my pace at street drags in the 80s. Did six good time runs, and the clutch disintegrated on the drive home afterwards. Yeah, I mean it happens. But that pacer, was that wouldn't have had the triple Webers on it, would it? The pacer, no. But they put out some power, those things.
Remy Kushner, ride height for optimum. I can't see past that heart. Optimum front suspension performance in an A body. Okay, the factory set them nose up, and I don't remember the exact. It's a measurement you would take at the rocker, the front of the rocker and the back of the rocker, and the front is supposed to be something like, don't quote me on it, okay, but the front is supposed to be something like a half to an inch higher at the front of the rocker than the back of the rocker. The ultimate ride height, or the best ride height for weight transfer, has to do with how hard the car launches. So the lower your 60 foot, the better the car bites, the lower you want the car. So if you're talking about a car that's, let's say, in the 350 or 400 horsepower range, something that's going to run like in the 12s, the high 11s, like that, you want the car high. It'll transfer. As the ET drops, as the 60 foot drops, you want to keep lowering the car. So the harder the car launches, the lower you want it to be. Did I make sense? I think.
It makes sense to me.
Okay.
Chris Cadman, Kiwi, did you get two-stroke bikes like we did in Canada? Yes, we did. Lots of two-stroke bikes. I remember I had a little off-road buggy thing, and that had a Kawasaki triple in it. Triple two-stroke. So 3-cylinder two-stroke.
Which one do you know? I had a bunch of two-strokes.
Yeah, it was so long ago. I think it was around about 500cc.
H1?
No, it's gone. It's too long ago. Okay. The memory banks don't go back that far. But it was frightening. When it came on, gee,
nothing in the world.
Holy moly! Like
nothing in the world.
You just kind of prayed and then came off the gas and where are we? Oh, here we are.
My favorite thing about the Kawasaki triples was how unpredictable they were, because it never hit the same way twice.
Right.
Right. So let's say you're rolling along. You're 15 miles an hour or so, second gear, and you lay into it. Okay. And it's either going to go, or it's going to go, and you never know how it's going to go. It never tries to kill you the same way twice.
Oh, there you go. Well, keeps life interesting, I guess, doesn't it? Hot Rod Monza. I have a 53 Studebaker Commander with a 93 Mustang GT drivetrain ready to go in it. Looking for buyers. Yeah, I mean, the car is a cool car, but it's not everybody's dream car. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, looking for that might be a little challenging, but you've just got to find the right guy,
You know, honestly, that's the kind of car you're going to sell the style of the car more than you're going to sell the car itself, because there's a very small number of people who are going to be interested in that Studebaker as a Studebaker, especially if you throw in a Ford drivetrain in it. But if you build the car to a specific style, like for instance, you build a gasser style, straight front axle, get the thing high up in the air, old school wheels, you may find some real interest in a car like that. But yeah, I think you have a hard time selling it if it's just, you know.
Mike Brunello, yeah, Kiwi, my friend, has a fake GT350 302 automatic car in real good driver condition. I'm assuming it's a fastback. I'm trying to buy it. How much is it worth roughly? Well, that white car that I've got in the shop now, Casper, we nicknamed it. That's the white one with blue stripes. It's got a lot of rust in it. That's kind of set up to look a bit like a GT350, and that was a 302 automatic engine in it. I think that was original. Yeah.
When I walked into your shop and that car was intact.
Right.
I was
gorgeous.
like, oh,
yeah.
I want that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was hot. That was hot.
And he paid 38 grand for that.
Oh God.
Now, as it turns out, that was too much because of the rust in it that he wasn't aware of. But that probably gives you an idea of where your car would fall in there. Probably, you know, if it is as good as it looks, kind of thing, and it's not full of hidden rust, then you know, 40 grand's not out of the question at all. Yeah, but it really does come down to what kind of state the body's in. There's so many of those Mustangs are in sad condition. So, you know, like to find a good one, you got to pay. All right.
Clayton's Toolbox, where's the best place to find used performance stuff? eBay is crazy. You could try hitting up Kiwi. He has warehouses full of things. It's crazy.
I really don't. I get rid of a lot of stuff that you wouldn't, and I give it. I honestly, like, if I've got something that you're interested, I'm the same way though. Hand it off, because you can't be using. I've just found it too hard to use secondhand stuff. It comes back and bites you. You know, there's a problem. Stuff. Yeah, but you're doing it
for customers.
Yeah, I'm doing it for customers. You're doing it for yourself. Right. And like if something goes wrong, you can do a video and show what went wrong. I get that call at 10 o'clock at night saying I'm outside the movie theater and this piece of shit that you said you'd fix won't run.
I only get content when something goes wrong. Yeah. Think about it.
Yeah, true. But yeah, I don't like those late night calls saying that, you know, it's broken down. What are you going to do about it? So I've just weaned myself off using secondhand stuff, using stuff that, that should go a bit longer. It's like, no, just, you know, at the end of the day, people are just happier. They want their classic cars to start when they try and start them. They want to stop when they try and stop them. And that's what they want. So that's what I give them.
So I got some grief because I swapped from the Charger had disc brakes on it. I swapped over to the 11-inch drums.
Right.
Okay. You have to drive like what's that blue thing you got outside?
Yeah. That blue thing, yeah.
I challenge you to a 60-mile-an-hour stop.
That's optimistic, Tony.
I challenge you to a 60-mile-an-hour stop.
All right.
It's like throwing a friggin' anchor out. Because they're the 11x3s.
Right.
You know, and they got good surface area. Like they're not just little patchy areas. And it's got fresh wheel cylinders, so everything works exactly where it's supposed to.
Yeah.
I challenge you to a 60-mile-an-hour stop.
Okay.
I should go get the car right now. We should do this live.
We could do it live. I'm sure the people would watch. But no, it'll have good brakes. The only problem with drum brakes is they do, like it or not, fade.
But I'm not taking a thing to the Nürburgring. I can't even pronounce it.
Exactly. But I get a lot of people come in wanting four-wheel disc brakes. And my question always is, why do you want four-wheel disc brakes? Why do you feel like you need four-wheel disc brakes? And I'm happy to put four-wheel discs on them for them. But often they're just caught up in the expression of four-wheel disc brake. You know, so I usually have a conversation with them and say, hey, what is it you're actually trying to achieve with the car? You just want to feel a bit more confident when you're you know, when you're scooting along a little bit, not going wild, but just scooting along a bit, you want to feel a bit more confident. And they're like, yeah. And all you need is, you know, some decent front brakes. Your front brakes do 80% of the work.
Stopping, right?
So, and that's the funny thing, like the Willwood, I sell a lot of Willwood brakes, and they have like big calipers, big 6-piston calipers, and they have matching ones for the rear that look identical, but there's only 4 pistons in them.
Okay.
Because it's just a waste of time putting 6 in. They've got to choke them down so much.
Well, not only that, but you got the weight bias to the front, so the front has to do more stopping than the back. If you have if you have exactly equal stopping front and back, and you've got, let's say, 60-40 weight distribution on the car, the back wheel is going to lock up.
Oh yeah, and they're going to want to lock up when you're going around the corners, and then that's why there's so little rear brakes, because the manufacturers build the cars so that if somebody jumps on the brakes halfway around the corner in the wet, the back wheels still won't lock up. Because once the back wheels lock up, then you just spinning off, and they can't risk that. So.
Cold Order Motors is in the house. What's happening, man?
We could. Oh no, we can't do that with Bottle Rocket, can we? Because that thing doesn't have any brakes, does it?
Bottle Rocket?
Yeah.
It has 10 inch.
We could do a 0 to 60 to 0 again.
0 to 60 to 0?
Yeah. That's got him thinking.
0 to 60 to 0. So I don't know if I have a car. No, see,
he's misfiring.
I can out 60 foot you, or I can out 0 to 60. I know I could do that.
Right.
With one car.
Yeah.
And I think that I can 60 to 0 you with a different car, but I don't have one car that'll do all of that.
That's fair.
But then
it was just an idea. It was just an idea. But yeah, no, I'd take you on that braking one, because I really don't think you'd outbrake the Audi.
I'm telling you, I was playing with it the other night.
Yeah.
You know, just when I was coming back from Nashville.
Right.
And I had a big empty stretch of interstate, like where I could fuck around with it and not be anybody's. And the first couple of stops were like, okay, you know what I mean? And then once the heat got in it, once there was a little bit of heat in the drums,
and you get the shoes touching all over.
Yeah,
you got to beat them in a bit.
I laid into the brakes smooth but aggressively, and listen to me, bro. The car just stopped, like 60 freaking miles an hour. It just stopped. I was like, yeah, okay, I gotta race Kiwi's blue thing.
That blue thing. Yeah, I mean, just when you're ready, man. When you're ready, we'll do it. We can just do 60 mile an hour past the shop here.
Yeah, we can do that.
Stand on it.
Yeah, actually it's perfect, because it's a 60 mile an hour road, so we could just come over the hill, get to the bottom of the hill, and then stop. Whenever you're ready.
And I can read your tag plate, you know, your tag number as you're going past.
Oh, no, we can't do it that way. That would be dangerous.
Oh, not side by side?
Well, no, because it's a 2-lane. We'd have traffic coming in both directions, but we could do just who could stop on the shortest distance.
Right. You've got to measure it.
Yeah, one after the other.
Right. Yeah. I think it'd be more exciting.
And Fubar just put the link to my merch.
There you go. Well done. Well done. Anyway, back to the viewers. What do we got? Brad Yelich. I drove my '66 Mustang for 3 years without brakes. I was 17. Yeah, well, you got to be 17 to do that shit. Yeah.
Next on the next Sunday Night Live, come on the next Sunday Night Live. This one coming up. And ask Kathy about the date I took her on with the Mule. Right, we had a blue '67 Chevy station wagon called the Mule. Ask her about the date I took her on. And now I got that car to stop.
John M. Tony's got a tail hook he's going to throw out.
It stops like it's got a tail hook. The car had discs on it. It had the later model, like the 73 and newer, 72 and newer style. It stopped. It was okay. The 11-inch drums stopped harder. They stopped better. Okay, so here's a pecking order. You have the 10-inch drums. They stopped the car. You got the disc brakes, they stop the car better. The 11-inch drums stop the car even better than that. So there's like a pecking order to braking efficiency with these cars.
Tavo, yeah, I swapped my Valiant for front discs. Drums work great, but disc works 3 times in a row.
Oh,
he's talking about the fade. Yeah. No, they do fade away, and the heavier the car, the worse it is, because that charge is going to be pretty heavy.
It's over 4,000 pounds.
Yeah, that's a big old girl. Oh yeah, drums are great until they get hot or you hit a mud puddle. Yeah, I remember driving through about 8-inch deep water in an old Dodge 330, like a 63 Dodge 330, and that I had back in New Zealand.
But you know the trick to that, right?
What's that? Keep your foot on the brake.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know that. I was like,
yeah.
I was like 17. I was like, what the hell did I know? And you know, we came out the other side, and about another 150 yards on, there's a stop sign.
And you're standing on the pedal, and
it's standing on the pedal,
right?
and we just blew through the stop sign, and thank God nobody was coming. And I'm like, what the heck just happened? But yeah, so I figured that out.
For you guys who are not familiar with this, if you're driving a drum brake car and you've got deep puddles, you know, where the wheel's going to go underwater, that type of thing, ride the brake through the whole thing, and then it won't it'll stop normally for you.
Yeah, basically the shoes just aquaplane, don't they, or hydroplane?
That's what happens
on the drum.
Right, exactly.
So the lining of the shoe doesn't get to touch the drum. Well, so of course it doesn't stop.
Well, the reason why you don't have that problem with disc brakes is because the disc brake is always rubbing against the rotor.
Yeah. And there's somewhere for the water to go too. Well, like the drummer gets caught inside the drum, the water gets caught inside.
Well, yeah, if you've got
yeah. But yeah, they the disc just constantly wipe it away. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, that's what Mexican spec saying. He rides the brake through water in any car.
Most newer cars have rear drums. Yeah. Let's see.
So Hot Rod Monza, Strange Racing Products has a nice master cylinder for setting up brakes. You
know, the thing about braking systems is that if you start to understand the engineering that the factory put into the braking systems on these cars, everything is so exact because they needed the car. So when the factory builds a car, and this doesn't matter if it's the 1960s or 70s or today, when the factory builds a car, it has to send it out into the world in the hands of the general public, and it has to be functional and safe in every possible environment. So the braking system, the amount of engineering, the amount of time and engineering that goes into a factory braking system is probably more thorough than any other. No, definitely, it's more thorough than any other part of the car. It has to function with incompetent drivers in the worst possible conditions, and it's designed for that. And when they design braking systems from the factory, the diameter of the bore of the wheel cylinders, the diameter of the lines, the length of the lines, the proportioning valve, where the proportioning valve is located, the master cylinder, the length of the bore and the stroke of the master cylinder, all of those things are exactly tailored for the weight of the car and the weight distribution of the car. So, like when you just run in there and willy-nilly just start changing this or changing that, you're really playing with fire. It's like brakes are one of those things. The more you know about them, the less you want to mess with them.
Aaron Bryant has a 61 Studebaker Hawk. Was thinking about a dual reservoir master might be a good idea. Yeah, it is. Short answer, it is a good idea. You just got to get the bore size right. Make sure if you've got drums front and rear, make sure it's a drum master. And some of the, like the Mustangs, it's very easy just to put a slightly later model Mustang master on, the early one that had the single master, and it just bolts together. It's easy. If you've got to start modifying anything to get it into the Studebaker, just be careful what you modify. I've seen people weld the push rods together because the push rod wasn't long enough and do stuff like that.
I've done that.
Don't do that. You can get like those long tube nuts adjusters and put a spacer in there, and don't be welding shit. Don't be bolting master cylinders on to a single layer of sheet metal and putting panel washers on, because that's not going to cut it.
There's one car here that has a deep socket welded into the. I needed to get it together, and I couldn't find the one that I needed, and I didn't want to wait 3 days to get a new one.
Yeah.
So I just welded a freaking socket in there. Got me the inch I needed.
That's the weird thing with cars. I mean, you can, like, sometimes that stuff can work and it doesn't fail.
It's not a good idea.
Yeah,
like,
but
I would never tell anybody else to do that.
No.
You know.
Because it works right up to the point when it doesn't.
Right. And I would never do that.
This works just fine. This works just fine. This, oh fuck.
Yeah. But I would never tell anybody to do that. I would never recommend it, and I would never do it on a customer's car.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or a friend's car or anything like that. But on my own car, it's like I know what I'm doing, and I'm not worried about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. So yeah, Aaron, go and put a dual reservoir in it, and but just make sure you get the sizing right. Don't cut any corners trying to get it mounted. If it just doesn't seem like, if it goes together well, then all good and well. If it's fighting you and things just aren't lining up and things aren't working right, don't take chances with your braking system. You need to stop when you want to stop.
My experience with brake failure on single pot master cylinders, and I've had many brake failures with single pot master cylinders over the course of a lifetime, right? Is that you'll get, so here's what happens, right? You have 3 brake hoses, okay? 2 in the front, 1 in the back. And generally speaking, what will happen is the one that gets you is when one of the brake hoses pops. So if you got, let's say, a leaking wheel cylinder someplace, the pedal will get gradually soft, and you'll realize what's going on. It's when you pop one of the 3 hoses that you put it to the floor and nothing happens, right? So my experience with the single pot reservoirs is that if it's filled, if it's got the proper amount in it, you'll get at least 1 or 2 full stops out of the car. So in other words, like, the pedal is going to be chasing out from under you, but you're still building pressure in the other wheels, the ones that don't have a ruptured line, and you'll get the car stopped. The problem happens when people try to continue driving it from that point. And that's where you run into a fucking issue, because it's like, okay, well, the pedal goes 90% of the way to the floor, but it'll stop the car if I'm sitting still, because it's just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So in a lot of cases, the dual reservoir is kind of like a panacea.
Yeah, it's not like you've got great brakes when something fails. Right. You've got enough to be better than nothing, but it's just a bit better than nothing. Yeah, what was I seeing there?
Let's see. Uh-oh. Is that?
Oh, that's Mrs. Kiwi.
Oh, how's she doing?
She's watching, I'm sure. She's probably going to tell me off for swearing. Oh, here we go. Request. Go back to Kiwi Mars question for Tony. Okay.
What was it now?
A question for you from Kiwi Mars, which is Mrs. Kiwi.
Oh, okay.
So where is she? What did she ask you? Something that's probably aimed at.
Yeah, there's a lot of activity here tonight, so I'm sure
we're missing a lot of you guys, but like, it's not, seriously, it's not on purpose. You guys are. There's a few, 316 people watching. So
here it is. Curmudgeon, too expensive, mate. What was that now?
Curmudgeon. Oh, that must be someone else who's commented. She's responding to someone. Curmudgeon. Kiwi Mars asked for a divorce. That's not very nice. Jeez, don't be saying things like that. She won't take you seriously. Too expensive.
It's cheaper and easier if you
darling.
just shoot them.
I love you too. Yeah. Kiwi Mars. Tony, here we go. Here's the question. Tony, what advice can you give on how a wife can sell or give away her husband's massive model car collection?
Well, I go back to the thing. You talk about divorce and everything.
It's a hypothetical question.
It's quicker and easier to just shoot them. This is, I know. Maybe in your culture it's a little different. You're a little shy about shooting your mates and stuff like that. I get it. I understand that. But that's the quickest and easiest way to do
it. She says asking for a friend, right?
Asking for a friend.
Yeah. Okay. I had a bit of an obsession with NASCAR for a while, a few years back, and I've got 1 or 2 old NASCARs, die-cars.
Bobby Z 1964 had steel lines blow out from rust on both single and dual pot brakes. They both suck, but with dual you got something, not much, but something.
Exactly.
But you get the first stop or two out of the single the same way. If you drive it past the point of brake failure, you know what I'm saying? Then it's on you. You know what I'm saying? It's like you get the car stopped and then that's it. Just as soon as you feel the pedal go like that, that's it. You pump it, get the thing stopped, and then stop driving it.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like a lot of people driving these old cars, they just don't read the signs.
No.
That's what I've found is like, yeah, the brakes were going a little bit, they felt off. Something didn't feel quite right. And then suddenly they've got no brakes. It's like, well, when they don't feel quite right, that's probably because they're not quite right. And it would be time to check it out. At least, take the cap off the master and see if there's any fluid in there.
Well, Mexican Spec is saying that's what emergency brakes are made for. Well, no, emergency brakes are really parking brakes because they came about when everything was a manual transmission, right? And it was afterwards, after we adopted that they stayed standard as a parking brake, or as an emergency brake, I should say. So, but yeah, that's your mechanical failsafe.
But I had a truck in this week. We've just been doing a little bit of work on an old Chevy truck. And he was complaining about it not starting. So, and he chewed the teeth off the flex plate.
Okay.
So we pulled the transmission, put a flex plate in it, put it back in, cranked it up, squirted a bit of fuel down the carburetor, and fired it up. And it's like, oh yeah, that runs. Okay, it started. It fired, and it wasn't real happy. And had one of those little clear fuel filters on it, and it was only like quarter filling maybe. And I was like, okay. So we put it back up in the air, and as it's going up in the air, it's raining gas out from under the car, and the fuel lines on it, because the tank's behind the front seat on the trucks.
You're right.
So it's like right there in the middle of the car, and out there's 2 rubber lines, and they're just absolutely rotten, like just crumbling in your fingers, like sticky, like they got when rubber goes like chewing gum, and anyway, so the guy picks it up, and I was telling him that's what was wrong with the fuel system. Once we put new lines on, it was good. And he goes, yeah, I had a premonition that it might be something with fuel because I had a lot of gas on the driveway. There's your sign, gas on the driveway. What do you think's wrong with it? Gas should be in the tank, not on the driveway. So listen to your car, pay attention. And with something sounds odd, probably is odd.
Peter Kovacs, manufacturers are so confident in their braking systems that add in an emergency brake just in case. Well, first off, it's not the manufacturers, it's the federal government that mandates that there be a mechanical brake in the car, in addition to the hydraulic system. So for a car to be certified to be sold in this country, it has to have at least one mechanical way of stopping the car besides the hydraulic. So that's the emergency brake. But the emergency brake started out as a parking brake, because how do you park a manual transmission car on a hill and not expect it to roll away? So what we call today an emergency brake started out as a parking brake.
Yeah, we had that. I had that argument with my boy was sitting his driving test, and he had a little Ford with the e-brake, good old-fashioned e-brake in it, and the instructor was telling him that he shouldn't be using the parking. He was on a hill with a set of traffic lights, and she tried to tell him that he shouldn't be using his e-brake because it's for emergencies only.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, me and her had a discussion on that one.
Yeah. Cold War motors in modern cars, the e-brake is actually electric fail. You're right. I forgot about that. They want something. They want an independent braking system. So if the hydraulic system fails, you've got an independent brake system. They should be mechanical. They should not be electric. I don't know why but then why does they do anything anymore?
Typically they won't let you have a hydraulic emergency brake though, like something that because I know in New Zealand, I can't talk for everywhere, but in New Zealand, like a lot of the competition or rally cars would have a hydraulic handbrake, so you can do a handbrake too. Like the drift cars do today, and they were set up. We used to reverse the button, so you just pulled it on and let it go, and it would go back down.
Okay.
And if you wanted to lock it on, you had to push the button in. We just reversed it.
Okay.
Normally you push the button on the end of the lever to let it off. But that wasn't allowed because it was hydraulics, and hydraulics can leak and leak down. So theory being, you would come out in the morning, it was sometime 2 or 3 in the morning, the hydraulic pressure leaked down and it rolled off down the hill. So they wouldn't let you do hydraulic e-brakes.
Oh, cold war. I know. I know. Let's see.
Zero. Ford truck owners here. Electric parking brake. Recall anyone. I'm guessing they've had some issues on the Ford truck. There's a lot of cars with electric parking brakes now.
Most expensive cheap out in history. Aaron Bryant.
At zero can break the karaoke machine.
Mexican spec electrical systems and sensors fail more than mechanical systems, making everything electric just won't work over time. That's the truth. Judy McMahon, what is your best funny car movie? Okay, not funny car movie, but funny car movie. Mine is a Gumball Rally. I only have one that I really love. What's your favorite funny car movie?
Well, funny humorous car movie?
Yeah, not funny car, but funny.
Yeah, Gumball Rally.
Really?
Yeah.
I like It's a Mad World.
Oh, okay.
I've seen that movie 1,000 times, and it never gets old. It never gets old.
I can't do that movie.
Really?
No, I don't like it.
You're kidding me?
Nah.
There's some parts in it just.
But I don't like Dumb and Dumber. Like Dumb and Dumber is too dumb.
No, I couldn't watch that either.
But that Mad World is for me a bit like that Dumb and Dumber. It's just like.
Really?
Yeah. But, everybody's different.
Okay, yeah. It's all the 62 Dodges that are in it, though.
Okay. Really? There are? I'm just trying to think then. It's like, there's a bunch of them in there?
Oh, we're probably talking about different movies then.
No, probably. I just don't. I don't think I've seen that Mad World the whole way through ever.
Okay, it's where they're chasing the Jimmy Durante.
Right.
Drives off a cliff. A bunch of people see him go off the cliff. As he's dying, he's saying, he's telling them where the loot is buried under the big W. Are you familiar with that one? That's the one you're talking about?
Yep.
Really? You don't like that movie?
No, it's a little over. Yeah.
It's loaded with it was filmed in '62, and Chrysler gave them the cars.
Right.
So it's loaded with 62. Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's been such a long time since it's decades.
Go back and watch it again. Go back and watch it again.
Well, I might have grown into it. Mad World is a classic. Somebody said. The part that hurt the most was when they trashed a 61 bubble top. I might have to go back and have a look. Okay, you got me, guys. You convinced me.
Yeah, the movie was made in 1962.
Huh.
So what somebody just said, Mexican spec, the big W is not there anymore. They cut the trees down, the stumps, so they'll. Oh, really?
Huh.
Find it. Fix it. The movie came out because of President Kennedy died. No, Kennedy died a year and a half after the movie came out.
Chris C. Clint likes funniest one was Clint Eastwood's Every Which Way But Loose. That was a good movie. Was R6 a factory color on a '69 Super B?
R6. Why can't I? I'm drawing a blank. R6. That's the paint code. Say what it is. Give the name of the color.
Mexican spec comedy car movie I like is Christine. I wouldn't have put that in the comedy category, but okay. I mean, I get what you're saying. When the vandalizers get smoked, yeah, that is. It's a bit of divine retribution.
I saw that in the theater when it came out, but I really don't remember any of it.
Find it, fix it. Do you think fuel injection carburetors on older cars will help with mileage? Presumably, he's talking about the Holly Sniper.
If you're way out of tune with the carburetor, yeah, it's going to make a difference. If you've bothered to pick the right type of carburetor and tune it correctly to the combination that you have, no, you're not going to see a difference.
What have we got here? Oh shoot, where'd it go? Somebody was asking about a Tremec then. It's disappeared.
Time to watch Christine again. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I'm just not compelled to watch it. I mean, it's just like, I mean, I don't know. I'm not, that kind of movie really just doesn't do it for me.
Ooh, Mean Machine Mania. Hey, Kiwi. I have a salt belt shell that is an okay shape, but it has a good amount of Bondo in it. How do I deal with the old Bondo that's starting to bubble and crack? Mate, you just got to grind it out, cut it out, just dig it out. It's got to go. That's the only way you deal with it. Like once it's bubbling, it's done. I mean, if you really didn't care, you could kind of grind the top off the bubbles and paint it again and sell it within 3 weeks. But yeah, that's probably not what you're trying to do, I don't imagine. But yeah, you just got to dig it out. Yeah, get a wire wheel in there. Like you just try whatever you can to get rid of it, and then start welding some real metal in. Milner's 32 coupe made me a car guy. Yeah, I got to go with that. Oh, I think I was 13 when I saw that. About 12 or 13 when I saw that at the movie theater. And yeah, Milner's 32 was that was something.
The only part, there was one part of that. Oh no, wait. What movie was it now? Oh God, American Graffiti. It'll come to me. I'm having a mental gap here, but go ahead.
Rewatch Christine. There you go.
The crowd, more American Graffiti had great drag strip footage. I couldn't watch that because the freaking car had Moroso valve covers on it.
Really?
Well, it's supposed to be in 1963.
Right.
64, Southern California. And he's got a small block Chevy dragster, but it's got Moroso valve covers on it.
And they weren't around then?
No. No, but at least 12 years off.
Oh, shoot. That's a long way. Yeah.
And I was like, I cannot watch this movie. I cannot watch this.
Yeah. Yes, I've seen that on a few movies, though. You know, like it'll come up, you know, like it'll say the year in the subtitles. It'll, you know, like 1962 and a 65 Impala drives by. It's like, well, look at that.
The crowd, December 64. Okay, for that movie.
Huh. Mopar Man 78. That's interesting.
What's that?
John Carpenter had his own band. He's the guy who directed
the Coupe de Villes.
Christine, the Coupe de Villes. Oh. They did the theme song for Big Trouble in Little China. Huh.
Billy Bob Holcomb, Le Mans. I don't think I ever saw that. Corvette Summer. I never saw that. Funny Car Summer I watched, oh God, I don't know, like 60 freaking times.
Dust to Glory. Haven't seen that one.
Never saw that.
Gumball Rally.
Christine I saw in the movies. I think Gumball Rally I saw in the movies. Cannonball Run I think I saw in the movies.
Thunder Road, Robert Mitchum. Huh. That's going back a while. Those were the days. Look at that. Papillion Cycles. I remember leaving the theatre as a kid with my uncle, Cannonball Run. They'd been watching the impromptu drag races in front of the mall for an hour. Imagine trying to do that today.
Yeah.
Yeah. You'd try, but you wouldn't get away with it. Yeah, people weren't so precious back then.
Thunder Road. I never saw it.
And of course, there's the Mad Max movies. They're not really a car movie, but they've got some cool cars in them. Gone in 60 Seconds. Is that the first one? Stevie B. Is that the first one, or like the real one, the first one, or the second one with Nicolas Cage? Personally, I thought Nicolas Cage was a bit of a dick in that second one. But that's just me. The first one, you know, that was the real one.
Random guy. R6 was, oh, yes. Okay, I know the red you're talking about. Some shit, it was factory on 69. Yes. Also, do they come with 383 and 727 automatic transmissions? Yes.
Stevie V, the first one. Good man.
Two-lane blacktop. Every time I change the jets on something, I'm like, I have flashbacks to that movie. I'm just going to go change the jets.
At zero. Mopar, man, I also have a 6 demon bag. What's a 6 demon bag?
I don't know.
There you
go. 30 Mary Crazy Larry. Well, the only part of that movie I remember at all
I remember that movie.
And,
yeah. Well, I mean, I was a young teenage boy. Yeah,
right.
I still remember her. Susan George, I think it was.
Is that her name? I don't know.
So.
I couldn't watch the movie because it was her. Like, I couldn't see anything else.
Yeah.
And then the Charger at the end. They blew up the Charger at the end.
That's right, they did too. I was busy
crashed
watching
into a train.
Yeah, and they lost the blonde girl. Right.
Yeah, right? But I can't remember any other part of that movie.
What's this? Propellion Cycles. At my house, we have had Mad Max de Mayo to celebrate the 5th of May.
Oh, that's good.
Except we watch Mad Max and Partay. That's a good idea. So 5th of May, is that when it was released or something? What's the significance of the 5th of May?
The Cinco de Mayo.
Oh, is that Cinco de Mayo?
Yeah.
Oh, 5th of May is okay.
Yeah, it's a Mexican
That's
holiday.
Very culturally sensitive of me, is it? Like
very culturally insensitive.
Sorry about that.
Mexican Spec is going to send you hate mail.
He probably will.
But
I did come. I did come this week. I didn't bring my crutches, but I did bring my knee brace. So. Mexican Spec was giving me a bit of shit last week about not turning up on crutches.
Let's see.
Mexican independence. Is that the same as Cinco de Mayo, or is that what it is?
Yeah, Mexican Independence Day.
Ah, okay.
Connie Kill. Does a body in white car have a VIN tag? It's a 70 Cuda, been a drag car since brand new. No, a body in white does not have a VIN tag. It'll have a certificate of origin.
What is a body in white? Like, what's that about?
Back in the day, if you're going to build a race car, they would sell you just the unibody.
Really?
Yeah, and that's called a body in white. So what would happen, like for instance, pro stock guys, if you, let's say, had a factory deal, do with Stocks and Martin.
Right.
They send you a new Hemi Cuda, a bare stripper car, and they send you a body in white. So this way, the car that they took off the assembly line, you don't have to take all of the sound deadener and the insulation, and you don't. So you just take your body in white, you take your engine, your transmission, and you put your fiberglass doors, your fiberglass hood, your windows in it, and you go race.
Huh. Good idea. Actually, they did something like that. Tavo can probably chime in here, but the Australian touring cars, they would pull like Holden Commodores and Ford Falcons off the assembly line before they'd done, before they'd installed certain parts of the sheet metal, so that the teams building them, didn't have to undo a whole lot of bodywork stuff to change it. Which was, I mean, that's great of the the manufacturers to be that involved, that on board with it all.
Well, Peter Kovacs is right. You could buy a brand new Challenger body in white today. That's right. I forgot about that.
Today you can?
Yes.
Huh. You guys are so blind right now. Okay.
What are we blind about?
I don't know. Land of at least. You guys are so blind right now. Jonathan Lepucio?
Yeah.
Smokey and the Bandit. That was a good movie. Man, that came up on TV like a month ago. Yeah. Smokey and the Bandit. I thought, I'm going to watch that. And then I started watching. It's like, this really isn't.
It's not what it's.
It's not what I remember. It's just a little corny and a little. But it was great entertainment in the day. And what was her name in that? Sally Field.
The Flying Nun.
Yeah. She was cute in that movie.
Tim Jefferson. Tony, if I switch to manual steering on my 67 Dart, will I hate it? I hate the power steering now. It has the aluminum small block. Now, trust me, the manual steering on an A body like that, a small block A body, It's perfect. It's perfect. The power steering is just ridiculous. It's way too light. There's no road feel or anything like that. You'll love the manual steering.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Look, I'm beating you again. 296 to 169.
Oh, yeah, you're beating me comprehensively. Land of at least. How many times do I have to say it? What's it? Well, we're missing something here. Land of at least. Where did he must have said something else?
Oh, scroll back and see what the hell he's talking about.
Hydrogen powered classic truck. Hydrogen powered classic truck stapled in 42.
Okay. What about it? Stapled in 42 is a great channel. I've seen a lot of his videos. He does really nice work, but I'm not familiar with his hydrogen powered truck. Well, no, hydrogen. Have you ever seen a hydrogen peroxide rocket?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. It's Zero getting into it with Mexican speak.
Oh, jeez.
I'm
not going to get involved in that.
Giving him shit about Cinco de Mayo. But yeah, I'm staying out of that. I don't know enough about it. Viper, the Hulk Hogan TV show. I didn't even know he had a TV show.
I don't know. You know, he's a Mopar guy. Hulk Hogan is a Mopar collector.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Who's the other guy too? There's another wrestler. That's a big Mopar guy. There's Hulk Hogan and there's another one. The total Mopar guys. The other guy, his name will come to me in a minute. Goldberg. Right.
Who's the MMA? Joe Rogan's a big Mopar
I was
guy.
just about to say Joe Rogan is a Mopar guy.
Yeah.
See, we got a lot of big names.
Hot Rod Monza. What about Kit with the scanner in the hood?
Oh, jeez, that show was terrible.
What about it?
Oh my god.
That was just David Hasselhoff jump. Really.
Jesse Ventura. I don't think he's a Mopar guy.
Yeah, he's the wrestler that got into politics, isn't he?
Yeah, he got into politics and conspiracy stuff.
Oh.
And then he evidently did a show. I don't remember what the topic was.
Right.
And then right after that, disappeared.
Huh.
You know, like it was like you're done, right? And you just went underground. You only recently started coming back out again.
That feeds into the conspiracy, isn't it? Goldberg even owns the Lawman Mustang. Huh.
Say Mexican Spec says Rogan also has Chevelle. Rogan is a rest on my guy. Yeah, that much I know.
Peter Kovac. Mopars finally became cool. Imagine that.
Right, it only took us about 50 years.
Yeah. Randy Savage. Randy Savage was a Mopar guy too. What is it? Just must be a wrestling thing.
Land of at least. Hydrogen-powered classic truck. How are you not curious? They did it. Well, I mean, first of all, a hydrogen-powered truck is no different than a propane-powered truck in its concept. I'm going to do a whole thing on gas, meaning vapor gas internal combustion engines. It's not that big of a deal.
Wow. William Shatner owns a 68 or 9 Charger he bought new and still has it.
Oh, I believe it.
Huh.
What's his face? What the hell's his name? Jim Morrison.
Oh, yeah.
Had a 68 Charger, and then he traded that in and bought a Shelby GT 500.
Huh.
He was a muscle car guy. The Kevin Nunman The dude going on about the hydrogen truck and the dude talking about the carb cheaters seem like they're paid to shill it. You know, stranger things have happened. Pirate Greg, that was a gift. Oh, that's right. The Mustang was a gift. That's right. I forgot about that.
Bullet, the best car chase scene ever. It was a good car chase. Here we go. This will start something. DOA Garage. Guilty pleasures. What car are you embarrassed to say you love, but love it anyway?
Oh, God. My favorite cars are all cars that nobody else would like.
Right.
If that makes any sense. You know, I love muscle cars. I love muscle cars.
Mm.
I love race cars. But the cars that I geek out on the most are like, you show me like a really cool like 64 Rambler. You know what I mean? And like I love that stuff, right?
Mm.
You know, 60s, mid 60s average cars. There's just something about them. You know, the typical car that you'd find in a suburban, you know, driveway, or just, you know, a like you'll see like supermarket or shopping center scenes from the 60s.
Right.
Right. I'm lost there. I love that.
Yeah, just looking through all the cars in the car park.
Right.
Yeah, I do that.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that is cool.
Exactly.
Look, my one would be, and you'll laugh, I'm sure, but would be the Pacer.
Yeah, Pacers are cool.
I would like a Pacer, like pro touring kind of.
I would want a stock one.
Bigger wheel. No, I'd want to put make it a hot rod. So I put the bigger wheels on it, get it lowered down. You know, do some body mods, little wings or spoilers or scoops or something.
I can see that.
Yeah, just because it's ridiculous. Like, and so why the heck not? You know. But even just a stock one. I actually saw one rolling and driving through Brentwood probably a year ago.
See, that's where you'd find them. Like,
it was perfect. It wasn't just an old clunker. It was perfect. And believe it or not, I tried to you know, like run them down or like catch up with them, but got caught up and snagged up in traffic lights and lanes and shit like that. And I've never seen it again. And it's like, it was like that was a car you'd buy. Well, I'd buy. But yeah, I just think they're just so hideously ugly, so awful that they're cool.
Okay. Let's talk about guilty pleasures. Right?
Okay. Yeah.
Like people would just be like, what? A car has to be quiet. It has to have a stock exhaust in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Power Glide wine.
What?
The Power Glide? You know the Chevy Power Glide?
Yeah.
The wine.
The wine.
The wine.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah,
You're familiar with it? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. You have no idea.
Okay. Tavo. Not many would know what I mean, but I love the Leyland P76. Oh, I'm with you, man. What about the two-door one they made? What did they make? You're probably going to tell me, I'm sure. But yeah, there was a Leyland P76 with a four-door sedan, which was an unusual looking car, and they're quite collectible now in Australia. And they made about 6, like two-door fastback ones.
Okay.
And then the upper management decided it was a bad idea, so they crushed them. And there's I think there's 1 or 2. Tavo may have a better idea of the story, but that's the basic line of it. They crushed most of them. I think like 2 survived.
Well, Chevy did that with Novas.
Right.
It was Chevy 2s. It was before they were calling them Novas. In 63, they built some fastback Novas, and they ended up crushing them. 2 or 3 of them got in the hands of drag racers, and got turned into funny cars.
No, right.
Back in the day when they were still.
But yeah, the P76 had a 4.4 litre V8 in it, 4-speed column change. Yeah, V8 column change. They were auto as well, but they had a 4-speed column change. They were just. Oh, okay. Here we go. 10 remaining. My bad. I was exaggerating. Remaining 4. So that's what they called them. Instead of they were a 4.7. 8 in private hands, 2 in museums. Look at that. Man, you're just an encyclopedia, Tavo.
He's a brilliant guy. He's very well rounded.
Yeah. 47. Yeah. Either that or he's very quick on Google.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that could be too.
No, I'm sure you know this stuff, Tavo. I get the feeling. Pacer. Conway Twitty is said to have had a yellow one with a custom leather interior and decked out so he could drive around anonymously around Nashville. No one expected a star in a Pacer. Well, that sounds logical. My 8.8 and my 150 winds on deceleration. Plough truck, worn bad. Yeah, I'll bet it is.
What was that now?
Oh, Peter Kovac.
Winds on deceleration.
Yeah, well, it's a snowplow truck, so it's worked hard.
Yeah, it's pinion bearings.
Yeah.
Saying bye-bye. Random guy.
Oh, sorry.
Did Valiants come with V8s from the factory? From 1964 until the end of production, you could always get a V8 option in a Valiant.
It's 0. I'll take things only I know for $300. Yeah. A Facel Vega and a Jensen Interceptor. I'm familiar, Rifleman. I'm familiar with the Jensen Interceptor. That had the 440 Chrysler in it.
Yeah, the Facel Vega was Chrysler powered also.
Vega, like as in Chevy Vega?
No.
What was a Facel Vega?
It was a French car, right? Was it French?
Don't know.
Or French bodied car.
Oh.
And it had a Chrysler, had a Hemi in it, had an early Hemi. It was 354, 331, 354. Correct me if I'm wrong. Or he can do the look it up so I look smart.
Okay.
Land of release. My God, a hydrogen-powered car is a big deal, and you don't see it. Dude, hydrogen is a flammable gas. It's like propane. It's like natural gas. It's like any of those things. Hydrogen. It's created differently. It's made differently. But the fact that you can run an engine on it is not even the slightest bit surprising. Yeah.
This is a Facel Vega. You can see that, guys.
No, where was it made?
Oh, man, getting technical. I'll be right back. Paris, France.
Yeah, okay. See, I knew it. Someplace in the back of my head that was...
With a Chrysler Hemi, 5.9,
see?
6.3 and 6.4 litre.
Okay, so it had all of the early Hemis in it.
Ah. Oh, yeah.
Not all at the same time. It would have been a very heavy car.
Very heavy car. 58 to 64 it was built. Wow. So they had 156 of them built. That's going to be a rare car, isn't it?
Yeah. I knew it was an obscure car, but
yeah. That's really rare. With that sort of numbers. Especially over in Europe, they weren't that big on their big cars.
Coda Improvements is saying that kind of resembles an Imperial. Go back to that picture. Let me see that picture.
Yeah, it does a little.
Yeah, it does, actually.
Yeah.
It's got some Lincoln back there.
Yep.
Right? It's got some Lincoln back there.
That piece of trim on the door is a bit Cadillac.
Yes. Yeah,
that mid-late 50s Cadillac had that little piece like that on there.
And we got a little bit of Edsel happening in the grill.
Yeah.
Where it's like they just took all of the styling cues from all of the different manufacturers and just
put it in a bottle and shook it.
Yeah, throw it at one car.
Yeah. Huh, that's pretty cool. Well, thanks for telling us about that. I'd never even heard of that. That's very cool. Geez, they were $12,800 back in '58. You buy 2 Cadillacs for that back then.
3,
really. Hate to think what they're worth now. But anyway, moving on.
How about Monza? My Monza was spec'd out to have a three-rotor rotary engine, but Mazda backed out of the deal with Chevy. It would have been a monster street car. So, the Chevy Monza was originally supposed to be rotary powered. So was the AMC Pacer. The whole car was designed around the rotary.
Yeah.
That's why it has such a short such a short hood. And if you ever work on one of those, they came with the 252, 232, whatever it was a straight six engine, and you had to break the bottom of the dashboard to change the valve cover gasket on one of those things because the motor was stuck so far under the cowl, and that was because that car was originally designed to be a rotary.
Mexican spec. There are 3 or 4 Pacers for sale here. Do you want one? I kind of do, but now where's here Mexican spec? Like, I'm not sure where you're located at. Are you literally in Mexico, or where are you, bud? Yeah, could definitely be interested. I just think they're neat old cars, but I know one thing you can't get for them is windshields for them anymore. People are buying complete cars to get a windshield because you can't get them anywhere.
Ant D, is there a way to tell a 170 from a 225 from the outside of the engine? Yes, there is. Look at the very front of the engine to the right of the cylinder head, right above the water pump, and you'll see a hose that goes between the cylinder head and the water pump. On a 170, that hose is 2 inches long. On a 225, it's 3 inches long.
Taller deck.
Yes.
Makes sense. DeLorean, what was the powertrain? Renault, I'm pretty sure. 95% sure it was a Renault V6.
Yeah, the DeLorean was supposed to be another one that was supposed to be rotary. Everything was supposed to be rotary. And I remember that. I remember reading, like, I was a kid, like 12, 13 years old, and I used to read everything, anything I get my hands on. So when I ran out of Hot Rod, Carcraft, Superstock, Popular Hot Rodding, Drag Racing USA, and all those other magazines, I would grab Motor Trend, and I remember very distinctly around 1974 or so, there was this big push. Everything was going to be rotary. Rotary this, rotary that, rotary the other thing, and nothing ever came of it.
Rifleman Jensen at Passenger Mark III was a 383, Mark IV was a 440.
Really heavy cars.
Yeah, the very early version had the Ferguson 4-wheel drive. Okay. You know, they built like a 65 all-wheel drive Mustang.
Really?
Yeah, that was the thing. That's the same one, the same place, Ferguson 4-wheel drive system. They took them to Europe and they installed it all in Europe. And you know, I think they made 6 of them.
Really?
But in the early Mustang, I think they were all coupes. But I might be making that up. But they were definitely 65-6 body-shaped Mustangs. And yeah, they made an all-wheel drive. It was a little clumsy. It was a bit agricultural.
Oh, well, I was going to say,
but with the name Ferguson was a tractor, you know. But it was.
But how could you? Okay, so I'm picturing a Ford Mustang now. So I'm seeing the frame rails, I'm seeing the cross member, and I'm seeing the way the motor sits down into the cross member. Where the fuck would you put a differential?
Yeah, it was there. They did it. I've seen pictures of it. I've never seen it.
It sounds wrong.
But yeah, they basically added a chain-driven offset to the side of the transmission and sent the drive shaft forward, and they had the pumpkin like offset to one side, like one side of the oil pan,
and they sent the axle through the oil pan.
I'm not sure on that one. I will Google it for you.
Picture where the small block Ford oil pan saddles over the cross member. It's like, how the hell would you? There's got to be a picture of it.
Yeah, there should be. Mexican Spec, tell me where he was. Hey, you can hit me with an email or something, Mexican, if you don't want to go into it on here. But I would be interested to know. Email me. Like, just look up Kiwi Classics and Customs. You'll see my email. Or call me, whatever you want. But anyway, I've got work to do. I've got to find four-wheel drive Mustang.
It's a new paradigm. I get it. You guys will have to catch up. You know, if it was 1929 and we were talking about this, and I would say, yeah, you know, this is definitely revolutionary technology. Bro, seriously, you're way, way out there. You don't understand how this has been done. 440 shooter, were B-body Hemi mufflers less restrictive than the E-body Hemi mufflers? Oh, God. Okay, now I have to picture. No, I could be wrong, but I don't think there's a difference. The B-body ones were a little bit longer, but no, I don't think there's any difference. Worthyland, thoughts on a Poly 318, worth putting dollars into or not? I did a whole video on the Polysphere 318. Just search on my channel, 318 Polysphere and Poly, and something you'll get my overview on that engine. Land of at least. I don't think you understand. Hydrogen is new technology. Like newer than the Hindenburg? Okay. What sounded to be, what constituted the Hemi suspension if you checked it on the order form but did not get the Hemi 426? Hemi suspension would consist of, well, it starts with 15-inch wheels. 1968 and newer. Starts with 15-inch rims. You've got the springs with 2 extra half leaves on the right side. I don't remember the diameter of the torsion bars, but they're the thickest diameter torsion bars available in that body in that year because they change from year to year. You got the front sway bar. What else? And the brakes. You got 11x3 brakes, which is why you needed to have they wanted the 15-inch wheels on that. And there's probably something else that I'm forgetting off the top of my head.
Yeah, I'm not finding any pictures of the drivetrain system, although they are out there. I've seen them before, but you know, I'm supposed to be talking with you guys, not on my phone. But yeah, Ford sent 2 Mustangs, 265 Mustangs to the Ferguson factory.
What did you search under? Did you search under
Ford and Ferguson? Four-wheel drive 65 Mustangs.
Throw the word Ferguson in there and see if that pops up.
Hang on.
Robert Dix, any 1972 or later big block E-bodies ever made on purpose or by accident? Years ago, I remember I went off on a wild goose chase trying to find a 72 Hemi Cuda. It was supposed to be a triple black 72 Hemi Cuda. And I found out about this car just back when I was in like Hemi sickness, right? So mid-1980s. I was buying parts off of a guy named Willie, older black guy named Willie in northern New Jersey, close to Hackensack. I know, I'm sorry to be vague like this, but I'm trying to remember. So anyway, he told me about his friend's 72 Barracuda he bought brand new with a Hemi. And I said, no, they didn't make any 72 Hemi Cudas. He says, oh, yes, they did. And he went on telling me how his friend ordered the car in 71 and it got delayed for this, that, and the other thing, and it ended up showing up at a 72 grill. He didn't want the 72 grill, he wanted the 71. The whole back and forth. But he swore that this car was originally, it was real, and that his friend owned it, bought it new. And I went on a wild goose chase for, I mean, at least a month, where every time I had some spare time, my office at the magazines wasn't too far away. So every time I had some spare time, I would be checking leads on where this car might have been, and I reached dead ends. I'm fairly convinced that the story that the guy told me is true, but I never actually saw it myself. Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, the differential is completely on the side of the engine. I'm trying to get rid of that annoying little thing, but it won't go away.
He found the 4-wheel drive Mustang.
I did.
Okay.
Yeah, there's the radiator, trans.
Oh, I see.
The old school power steering. And yeah, on those 65.6 Mustangs, there's a tubular crossmember that goes across from rail to rail that goes under the pan.
The rear itself.
And that's where
they replaced. This is great. They replaced the cross member right under the engine with the axle tube itself. That's actually pretty brilliant. So you see that? You see the silver, the axle that runs top to bottom in the middle of that picture? That's where the cross member is supposed to be.
Oh, yeah.
That's actually brilliant.
You can actually see the drive shaft up the top right-hand corner there
right.
by the transmission. Oop, what happened there? Something changed.
That's actually pretty brilliant.
Yeah, but that's that's quite interesting. And they did all sorts of cars, like just looking through there quickly.
Because as I remember, I was saying, the way the oil pan saddles down there, how the hell could they possibly get there? They just did away with the cross member.
Yeah. But they converted all sorts of cars. Looking at this, but just include like Ferguson. The Mustang was called a Ferguson Formula 4-wheel drive. So yeah, if you guys are interested, but this Ferguson outfit did a lot of different cars.
That's the first I've heard of
that. They did Ford Zephyrs, the old English Ford Zephyrs, and they looked at doing them for police cars and.
I know what I'm going to be doing tonight. No, seriously, I love stuff like that.
Yeah,
I love stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I can't see what they did. I don't know whether that's a complete live front axle. That might be like a solid front axle, side to side, or whether it's independent, whether there's another little half shaft.
Oh, there has to be half shafts because look at where it is.
Yeah, there's not enough room for it to go up and down, is there? Yeah. I mean, the more you search, the more you'll find. But this little article says there was 3 of them made, not 2. So must be true. It's on the internet.
Charlotte's saying the Hindenburg held 7 million cubic feet of hydrogen. That's a lot of hydrogen, right?
Sure. Jeff Hutchins. I thought Tennessee was full of 4-wheel drive Mustangs. No.
Hydrogen embrittlement. No, hydrogen won't hurt. No, hydrogen embrittlement happens during the formation of a metal, like as the metal's still molten. It doesn't happen afterwards.
Mexican stick Bronco stands. There's lots of Broncos around. Lots of Broncos.
Dude, it is 2 hours.
Wow.
Do you believe this?
It is too. 1 hour 56 minutes.
Okay.
The Hindenburg was bigger than the Titanic. Good Lord.
That must have been a sight, that thing going off.
Oh.
Could you imagine? You've seen the videos of that,
right? Yeah.
That had to be.
That was a pretty good firework display, that one, wasn't it? Worthyland Broncos went well in their day. They kind of did, yeah, but man, people are paying, I think, an obscene amount of money for them now. I've driven them and I personally wouldn't own one. 2 hours of pure pandemonium, boils and ghouls.
Yeah, definitely.
That's a compliment I've ever heard one.
It kind of makes my skin bubble. That's awesome. All right, guys. We got to stop this now. I have a puppy I have to go attend to.
Oh, okay. It's going to be, who's missing it? Is the puppy missing you or you're missing the puppy?
Well, here's the thing. Kathy's been up since 5 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
And she was like barely keeping her eyes open when I left to do this
because of the puppy?
Well, now, the puppy and Maggie,
right.
my youngest beagle,
oh yeah,
they have bonded now. And Maggie thinks the puppy is hers.
Right.
And so they have to be together or she gets depressed and she whines and she mopes and everything else. But I can't leave them alone. They have to be supervised because she plays a little rough.
Ah.
So this is my reality right now. Let's see.
Hulk VTX1. What do you think about putting a manual in a 68 Dodge Polara convertible factory 440 horse console shift?
If you can find the bits and pieces, sure, go for it.
Put a Tremec in it. Put a Tremec 5-speed in it, TKX. You'd be golden. Somebody asked, I saw a question earlier about Tremec transmissions, man, and I just couldn't catch it. I just sort of caught it, and then it was off. It was gone. I couldn't find you again, but they were asking about rebuilding Tremecs, and parts are pretty well available for the Tremecs, even the older ones, the old Fox body 5-speed, the top.
The T5s.
The T5s. I had one that I rebuilt, and I had trouble getting parts for, but it was like the 86 model Mustang.
Okay.
Just before they went to the 4.6s. And they made a bell housing that was an extra 1.5 inches longer for certain reasons known only to Ford.
Oh, that's a Ford
and so the input shaft was longer, and that was a 2-year only transmission, and that was hard for parts. But other than that, they're pretty good. So I don't know. Hopefully that helps. If not, ask again next week.
Right. So, Charlotte, how far is Lakehurst? It's 75 miles from where I. Okay.
Glenn Nickerson thinks we would sound like Alvin and the Chipmunks if we were on helium.
Maybe I can get some helium.
There you go.
That could be fun.
We'll do the whole
I'll
show.
see if I can score some helium.
We'll
do the next show. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I got plenty of nitrous oxide, and I don't. The big one there is medical.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, just saying. All right, guys, we're gonna pack it in. It's 2 hours.
Yep.
Ari, Full Bar Zero, guys, thank you so much as always. Thank you. Everybody contributed super chat. Thank you equally. Everybody equally. Yes, everybody contributed super chat. Thank you. You keep the wheels turning. Everybody contribute just with your presence and your conversation. Thank you equally. Kiwi, go over there and sub to Kiwi's channel. Watch all of his videos. Share all of his videos. Like everything all the time.
That would
Force
be awesome.
your friends, relatives, and neighbors to also watch Kiwi. Use any form of coercion necessary. If talking doesn't work, maybe brandish, okay, it happens, right? You could do that. A couple of warning shots, fire a couple of warning shots in the air. You'd be surprised how quickly people will go and sub to Kiwi.
That's a motivator.
Yes,
sure. It's a
yes,
motivator.
absolutely.
Yep. But yeah, almost 15,000 subscribers now.
Wow.
Just short of 15.
You're catching up, bro. You're catching up.
Wow, but it's good going. It's good stuff. I'm happy with that. I appreciate all the guys that subscribe. Yeah.
All right, guys.
Mexican Spec. Thanks, man. See that? Waiting for your email.
All right. So we're probably going to do a couple of lives from the road over the next couple of days. Just short lives, because we're going to head up to Detroit tomorrow night. We're leaving for Detroit. So yeah.
All right.
That's what I say.
And we'll do that. We'll do that. North 60 to north when you get back.
I'll have the Charger here
Okay.
next Thursday night. I'll have
Next
the Charger
Thursday
here,
night?
and
There you go. We'll do a live.
we'll do
A live.
We could do that.
A live.
We could do that.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Actually, right here, because see, we could do it literally right here. Like we could do the stopping zone right outside the door.
shop.
Yeah. All right. Next Thursday night, we're gonna see.
Don't tell Mrs. Kiwi because she won't let me come.
We're gonna see what does a harder 60 to 0, a 67 Charger with 11-inch drum brakes, or his thing, the blue thing that he's got that costs more than my house.
Unplug the ABS. No, I'm not going to do that. Good Lord.
All right, guys. Good night, all.
See you guys.
And I'm ending it right now.